All right, y'all. Dom Bay, Proof of Workforce Live, where workers and wage earners come to grab Bitcoin signal. I am here with Jason Lord from IATSE Local 728, the first private sector union in the United States to hold Bitcoin on the balance sheet. We're at BitBlock Boom 2025 in Dallas, Texas, a Bitcoin conference. Jason, how's the conference been? And we're going to dive into IATSE 728 in that journey. How you doing?
Great. This has been awesome. My first time at BitBlock Boom, I was humbled when I walked in and I saw there were pins for like 8 people who've been doing this for 8 years. This is a great conference to come and socialize at and meet people one-on-one, face-to-face. I'm learning a lot, and yeah, this is I didn't know this was going to happen. Yeah. So this was totally worth the trip.
Well, very, very cool. For those that don't know what you do and who IATSE is, studio lighting technicians, you worked your career as a studio lighting technician in Hollywood, right, in the movies?
Yeah. So I've been in Local 728, which is Hollywood set lighting, based out of Los Angeles for, well, 30 years. It's been a while. And we light film and TV, motion pictures that probably most of you have all seen. And, it was a great career. I mean, I'm still in the local. I've relocated, but and that's why I'm here. And I just want to spread the orange signal. Started talking to our local about 6 months ago, bringing up the idea to our fiduciaries, our elected officers, executive board, to take a look at Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation, a long-term play. And so we started developing a Bitcoin strategy where we took some already invested funds and reallocated it into Bitcoin recently, with your help, by the way. Let's not downplay that section. And it was kind of a historic thing. We're in this for the long haul, for the health of the members. Our local, when you're in a union like this, it's all about the membership and protecting the people that are part of your organization, and so that you can operate into the future. And that's why we did this.
The concept of leaving things better than you found them, right? You inherited, I mean, IATSE has a ton of history in the city of Los Angeles and really the globe. For those at home, when you're watching the movie, you watch the movie down to the credits, and there's that little thing, IATSE. It's like it's not a Maltese cross. It's a, it's the logo.
We call it the Union Bug.
The Union Bug.
Yeah, and it's just
every movie has it.
If it was done in the jurisdiction of the AFL-CIO and it was done on a contract with them, then yeah, that bug will be there down at the very bottom.
For sure. We met at Bitcoin conference in Nashville.
Yep.
You approached me after my talk. You let me know the stuff you were working on. You have been a Bitcoiner prior to talking to me, but obviously Proof of Workforce, what we do is we work with local unions on learning about Bitcoin, exploring it, and just tell, for those at home, what was the journey like for you? I mean, this is a huge achievement. You guys became the first private sector union in the country. How would you describe that experience to folks watching at home?
It's a lot of work. Owning Bitcoin, getting into Bitcoin it's a learning curve. People might see number go up, but then they see number go down, then they go, eh. But it was the philosophy of it, the censorship resistance, immutable, being able to be sovereign with your finance. We don't really have experience with that. We live in a permissioned world. And the treasurer of our local and a couple of the other executive board members, I tried to explain this to them, what have you done in your life where you don't have to ask permission to have a car, to have a home, to go to school, to go to work, even for us to step onto a set. Everything is permissioned. And now here we are for the first time without any training, without any, completely learning on our own to take a little piece of our life, our financial power, and be sovereign. We be responsible for that. That is a whole new world, and it's changing people. It's changed people that I've talked to in our union already. It's made some people upset. I'll admit that. And that's usually because of an education problem. You know, it's like once you find out what this will do, with the potential this has for, a decade from now, I think there'll be some people that will look back at this and they'll be like, wow, we're really glad that a few people had the foresight to take a chance on this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, this thing right here is where we get 99% of our information about 99% of the things that we don't know about in the world, right? And we know for the last 10 years that the information on here about Bitcoin has been extremely negative. What you hear about from this are the scams that happen that maybe don't even have anything to do with Bitcoin. You hear about things like FTX, which, was something separate of Bitcoin that obviously touched Bitcoin, but that wasn't the root of the problem. You hear about lost passwords, people losing their self-custody, Bitcoin, and you don't get to hear about a lot of the good things going on or what the technology is. And that's where the education has to push through. What have you noticed? I mean, obviously, your union took a small, responsible step, right? It's not like they're putting their whole balance sheet on Bitcoin. It's a very small percentage.
It was actually money that was already invested. Think of it as just reallocating as a hedge, monies that was already put aside instead of in stocks and equities. Now we have a small bit in Bitcoin. I mean, we're looking ahead to adopt this in. Our newsletter now has a cryptocurrency column. For those of you who haven't seen it or read it, it's out there. It's on the internet now. You can check it out, especially if you're a member watching this. It's going to facilitate payments. It's going to facilitate interacting with the membership. I mean, this is just the beginning. And just for the record, I learned of you on this podcast. Because I watch you guys. I watch Nico Opti. I just got to say, I'm grateful you guys put this stuff on because had this not existed, I may not have found out about you. And that's how I knew to track you down.
Wow. So. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to hear about this from the rest of the night from Opti, Nico, and crew. So, but that's very cool. Hey, that's the power of social media, getting the word out. And again, what I remember in talking to you, between you, David, and eventually Pascal, is that you guys were very, heads up as far as understanding Bitcoin. We know that there's a playbook, which is a very simple get off zero initiative. It's unfortunate that some journalists wrote a very negative article about this saying, I won't get into the article, but it was very negative, and it actually painted my nonprofit is like this predatory group trying to get unions to add Bitcoin because then Bitcoin will go up. And let the record show, I can say with confidence that whatever Bitcoin you guys got did not impact the value of Bitcoin whatsoever. It's we're talking $1 trillion asset, and so a small allocation is not going to change Bitcoin. But what it is changing, and you would know this better than me, is how have you noticed your members' response as far as their curiosity and willingness to engage in what you did? And how do you compare that to things you've done in the past and their willingness to engage and kind of, engage with the board and be interested, whether it's good or bad?
What's funny is, from what I can tell, Bitcoin has caused the most engagement in our local over... I would say the next biggest topic would be like negotiations, like when we negotiate our contract with the studios. There's a lot of participation and interest there because that has a direct impact on your life. But as far as like what I've seen with meetings, what I've seen with online participation, say like, in unofficial social media groups, the level of engagement over this has blown everything else out of the water from what I've seen. So I have a feeling that this is going to get a lot of people interested in finance. People can start asking questions because, I was clear when I was debating this at one of the meetings. This is a Bitcoin strategy. This is not a altcoin, crypto strategy. There's a reason for that. And yes, I'm from the camp of that there's Bitcoin and there's everything else. And, details on our Bitcoin website for 728 coming into the newsletter to just explain all that. But it's getting people interested. some people will be noisy about it because they don't know and they don't participate, and they may feel like they weren't told, and that's honestly that is a personal fault. Come and find out what we're doing, because it's your membership. And I think a lot of people are going to be getting interested in, like, what is this? Well, what is inflation? Yes, I feel it. Everyone feels it. Look, when we go to a contract negotiation, the number one thing on people's mind is, like, we want an increase in our wages because we're not keeping up with the cost of living.
Yep.
And so when you start to look at, like, well, what's debasing my purchasing power? And when you finally come and understand that it's money printing, then it changes your worldview. It changes what your priorities are, what you're looking at, how you critique the government and finance. And then now you're taking steps to protect that. And one of the steps to protect that, and this is also why we did it for the local, was to take an allocation into Bitcoin and start a Bitcoin strategy.
Yeah, I always say, for people that hear about Bitcoin and don't like it, that's fine. But you have to address the issues that Bitcoin points out and highlights. And like you said, okay, fine. If you don't like Bitcoin and you say Bitcoin's terrible, I don't like it, then let's talk about why are unions around the country having to strike to get raises that are commensurate or equal to inflation when that used to be a given in the workforce. Any employer should not want their workers to take a pay cut. And so if you have 3% inflation over 3 years at 9% total, you should want to pay your workers 9%. Otherwise, what you are telling them is, I am giving you a pay cut.
Yeah, you're falling behind.
That used to be a given. Now, in 2023, the record strikes of unions across the country in the last 20 years were at an all-time high for something that isn't controversial or shouldn't be. It's just, hey, costs have gone up this much, so our wages should go up this much. And so, fine, be against Bitcoin and don't be into Bitcoin, but then now why is that happening? And so can we get back to the problem? And the problem will lead you somewhat back to Bitcoin because, again, Bitcoin works on a fixed supply. It's accessible to anyone, and you can't deflate its value. The value can go up and down, but you cannot change the amount of Bitcoin.
The amount of Bitcoin in circulation. Yeah, right, exactly.
Well, that's huge to hear. I'm really excited for what you guys are working on. I think to take a responsible step is a huge thing. You guys are trailblazers, and even if you learn about Bitcoin and don't do anything after this, or if you guys dive deeper into Bitcoin and take further steps, it's very valuable that you as an organization are taking the stance, what are we going to do to leave things better than we found them for the next generation? And you guys have all kinds of challenges. We know in Hollywood, there's AI stuff where they're talking about jobs getting displaced. And a lot of us, I'm a firefighter, you're a studio lighting technician. Our labor is the most valuable asset we have. And I tell people at home, if your paycheck stopped, how would that change the trajectory of your life? If it would change it drastically, what it means is that you are a wage earner that is reliant on someone else paying you a wage. Yeah. And whether it's Bitcoin or whatever it is, you should for sure learn about something that can maintain purchasing power and wealth for an organization, especially one that's been around for what, over 100 years?
I was like, Bitcoin's not been around that long.
IATSE,
yeah, and we've evolved a lot. I mean, we're a labor local, but we've absorbed so much technology since the invention, or the introduction, I should say, of like the LED. That we've had to go from just hot lights and everything's big and heavy and slow, and it takes a lot of people to, like, now we have to be IT engineers, computer engineers. We have to understand, like, your lights have a computer in them now. So we've adopted technology, and I think that was part of what helped us evolve into looking into Bitcoin, because it's money technology. So we have an affinity to, like, sniff this stuff out and apply it to our lives, and we have to when we make movies. And why not, do the exact same thing when it comes to our personal finance, and also and then at the organizational level, for a local and its membership.
Very cool. What message? Any words of wisdom for possible workers or wage earners back that are listening that maybe are thinking about take your
take your time to learn first. Understand Bitcoin first. If your exposure to this is like, it's the best performing asset of all assets in the history of asset, and that's what got you going, that's fine. I know number go up technology attracts a lot of people. Once you understand freedom goes up technology, that layer of Bitcoin, then it becomes a viable thing to incorporate into your organization, because that isn't just a financial, it's not exclusive to just your finance holdings, the freedom go up technology. That's going to permeate everything. That's going to permeate the philosophy on how you conduct business, how you transact in your own life, and it makes everything better. And that's part of leaving things better for the future members that come in.
Well, hey, I give you tremendous applause and respect for. Look, here's the thing that gets me kind of worked up. These journalists that paint these like ulterior motives. You're a guy that's retired. You had a career.
Well, no, I'm not retired.
Relocated.
Don't be fooled.
Yeah.
I still got it.
Okay, but you're nearly retired.
I'm trying for early retirement. Yeah, sure.
But you're in a good spot. It'd be easy for you to just coast along, finish your career, right, and be done. But here you are trying to bring something to the organization, and really, you're going to be out of the organization sooner than later. And I mean, yeah, but you're doing this for the next generation.
Yeah, I mean, look, this isn't going to impact my time in the union. Like, when this really has an effect, I mean, it could happen. I don't know what'll happen in the next 5 years, but as far as like accomplishing the goal, that could be a decade, that could be 15 years, who knows? But I know that it's important that we start now. Look, we're early. We're still early. I still have so many fiat conversations with people out in the world and friends and family. Even this move to adopt Bitcoin for a private sector union started a lot of fiat conversation. Yeah. So we're still early to all of this, and I'm excited to see where it goes. This is just the first step. For anyone who's thinking
to do this, you got 140,000 other members too.
Yeah.
Well,
not in our. I mean,
but
overall, yeah. And look, if you're in camera, come and talk to us. If you're a grip, come and talk to us. If you're any other local, even area standards, pick up the phone, give us a call. I assure you, our treasurer will be happy to talk to you.
Very cool. Well, Jason Lord, thanks for having you on. Thanks for coming on. It's been great having you.
Are you kidding me?
And
I'm
honestly,
on Simply Bitcoin. This rocks.
Dude, legend. And I really enjoyed working with you. I know we're going to work together. Yeah. The whole reason I started Proof of Workforce was just to be a resource that, like I said, it's not mine, it's ours. And this is about much more than Bitcoin as an asset. It's about a tool that, holding true to the Genesis block of, Chancellor on the brink of second bailouts, wow. Right? Which was a commentary on workers getting screwed over in the financial crisis. There's no doubt about it. This is a tool that was made for workers and wage earners, and all we can do in our time is just try to show them the tool that we found, yes. and that's all. And I think you've done that, and it's huge for your organization, and it's huge for private sector unions across the country. So thank you. And I know we'll work a lot coming up.
No, and thank you. I couldn't have done it without you. You came out to give the first pitch. And I did that for a reason, it's because your voice as a firefighter and an outside voice opened up the listening in the room. So I appreciate you coming out and taking the time.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a great journey. For those at home, this is Don Bay, Proof of Workforce live. Remember, if you're gonna trade your time for money, make sure your money holds up over time, whatever you do. So thanks, Jason. It's been a great time, and I'll talk to you very soon.
Very soon.
All right, man.